Hey guys, if you're listening to this episode, please note that this original recording and released under the Balance Boss Mom podcast. The podcast has since evolved and is now called The Balance with Erica B. This is a previously recorded conversation that I believe is truly worth hearing, listening, and seeing. Please disregard the introduction where I reference to the Balance Boss Mom podcast, as this episode was created before the rebrand. Again, guys, I want to thank you for continuing this journey with me, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. Bye, guys. Hi guys, welcome back to another Balance Boss Mom episode. I am your host, Erica, and today we are holding a space where we talk about honesty related to motherhood, mental health, and purpose in building a life that actually feels aligned. Today's episode is for the women who feel called to more, but is actually already tired. I know for myself, I am having so many roles and so many hats with the Balance Boss Mom podcast and the balancing of my life. So, for the women who love God and want to walk in a purpose but feel stuck between a hustle culture, guilt, and exhaustion, our guest today is Carolyn. My apologies. A certified peer recovery specialist, mental health advocate, speaker, and the founder of Firm Foundation Community Outreach. Carolyn helps high functioning women build purpose driven lives and work without burning out, hustle culture, and guilt. I am all three of those. Okay. Just want to say that. All while working a full time and living the best balanced life. Okay. So, without further ado, Carolyn, welcome to the podcast. I am so grateful to have you here today.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to be able to have this much needed conversation.
I appreciate you being here. That was a Pepsi that I had put down my throat. Okay. So, for the listeners meeting you for the first time, can you tell us who you are, where you're from, and what led you into the calling that you're in now?
My name is Carolyn J. Murphy, and I am in Memphis, Tennessee. I am a woman who learned that being capable doesn't mean you're well. For years, I showed up strong, faithful, and high functioning while quietly carrying anxiety, trauma, and pressure to perform. My lived experience taught me that healing and purpose don't wait for perfect conditions. They happen in real time. Becoming a certified peer recovery specialist, that is a person that uses their lived experience to encourage others on their recovery journey. So I became a CPRS in 2019, and I am certified through the state of Tennessee. So that allowed me to turn that lived experience into support for other women who are building, healing, and becoming all at once.
Okay, I like that. So you guys heard her. She has introduced herself. So I'm so excited, like I said, to get into the nitty gritty of our conversation. So one of the things I really appreciate about your story is that you didn't quit everything in the walk of your purpose. And when I was looking more into your story, for me, I was questioning myself as what is my purpose and what is my worth in the season that I am in currently. So how did it show up in your life where you were in this season? How are you building what's the question I'm trying to say? The purpose. Like, how did you walk in your purpose and not quit?
Well, it started with me building and prioritizing my relationship with the Lord, to be honest. The trauma that I endured, which was childhood trauma, it was molestation. And one of the things, so I lived the trauma lived throughout my whole life from childhood to adult. Not until I prioritized my mental health and prioritized my relationship with the Lord that things began to change for me. So that's where the purpose came into view. So the journeys are two different journeys. Your mental health recovery journey your spiritual journey if you are a
Mhm.
believer. And so once I prioritized my spiritual journey and the Lord gave me directions on certain things,
Mhm.
because when you are in trauma, it's like you're walking through a cloud. There is no clarity. And so I had to separate, I had to release, I had to let
Mhm.
go of some things and some people. And then once I did that along the way, God was able to speak to me and I could hear him and I was more obedient. So that's where the purpose ended up coming in. So part of my recovery journey was publishing my book, which was about my life. So God bless you.
Thank you. That happened out of nowhere.
So that's why I tell people your recovery journey is different. So
Mhm.
don't look at somebody else's recovery journey because my recovery journey just happened to have me publishing my book. And so
Mhm.
because of the childhood trauma and the things that God wanted me to do, he really wanted me to go into mental health, mental wellness.
I like that, and I know we're gonna get into your book a little bit later on because, like I said, you worked full time during all of this struggle. So, and
Mhm.
that's one of the things I had such a huge admire of behind your story because I was like, wow, you can work full time and still try to work on your purpose at the same time, kind of like an alignment
Yes.
that you have to
Yes.
have. And for me, my word of the year for 2026 is alignment. So I'm
Mhm.
working on anything that is positive for me or anything that stirs in the right direction. If it's positive, I'm going to go for it. If it's not positive and it doesn't serve the purpose for me, then that alignment is not going to happen. And so, when was the first time you felt like you needed to be called for more? Did you struggle with the idea of purpose requiring to have a drastic leap of these changes where you stated you had to let go certain people and certain things to no longer hinder that purpose for you? Or was this like a slow and steady kind of walk by faith, not by sight type of thing?
Yes, very slow, very steady, and it's definitely was walking by faith. So for me, I have two right now. I have two adult sons. One is 33 and one is 28. So when they
Hmm.
were young, I always kept a full time job and even a part time job. There were
Hmm.
times I worked full time and I went to college part time, but having a support system, even if it's a small support system, one or two people who can keep your children, you don't have to worry
Hmm.
about them. So that was enabled me to continue to go to school and things like that. So the purpose part is yes, slow because of the trauma that I endured. I had to I had to get a therapist. I had to work on learning to love me. I had to stop self sabotaging. It was a whole list of things that I had to do just to get to and now what is my purpose? Because you have it in the back of your mind. What am I here for? And
Hmm.
but like I said, once things start chipping off of me and God was leading me, then I began
Hmm.
to just, am I here for this? Which was a part of mental health. So a
Hmm.
part of my journey is that I'm a mental health advocate, Christian life coach, and now again the certified peer recovery specialist. And so I just want to help other women see that there is life on the other side of trauma.
And I like that because we don't often talk about enough of, you hear a lot for sure that we talk about women's mental wellness and their health and their self-care, which is good too, but we often don't, on the flip side of things of women's mental wellness, don't hear enough about mental healthness, men's mental healthness as well as their wellness. And so I want to steer into a direction of, let's talk about the hustle culture. How did it show up in your life, especially as a high functioning woman of faith?
Well, for me, because of the trauma, everything leads back to the trauma. I loved without balance. I gave without balance, boundaries, I should say. And so it was easy for me to fall into the hustle culture. And
Mm-hmm.
what I call the hustle culture is what they say, work, 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 all work and no play.
Mm-hmm.
And so, going to work all day, coming home, working on the business till midnight or even more, 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning, getting maybe 2 or 3 hours of sleep, jumping up and doing it all over again.
Mhm.
And so the hustle, it burned me out. I know it 2 or 3 times. You always say I'm going to do better, but you get so zoned in
Into what
that
you want to do.
that's
It's
it.
almost like
So yeah.
it's kind of like a wheel that you just keep you're trying to get out of
Mm-hmm.
that wheel and you can't get out of that wheel, so to speak. And so our bodies mostly tend to say it's a signal that says, all right, I'm gonna let you keep doing this. But if you keep doing this, you do understand, A, you're gonna probably land yourself in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
B, you're gonna be so burnt out where you don't even know what's going on. And C, you're not going to be present enough. And those three things are something that's very important, because if you're not present for yourself, you're not going to be present for those around you that keep you afloat. Like, it's kind of like, for example, the cup that I have right next to me have half of a Pepsi in it. But once I drink all the Pepsi, it's gone, because my cup is empty. It's not being replenished with more Pepsi to fill it up and get back to where it needs to be. It's just the cup is gone. It's empty.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's like the hustle culture is, it's so in demand right now in this time, because right now people are going through losing their homes, losing their cars, losing their employment, and trying to figure out what's the next step, what's the next journey, what's the next phase that they have to deal with that season in their chapter. So, what did hustle culture cost your mental, your emotional, or spiritually? What did it do to you out of those three?
It cost me my peace. It increased my anxiety. It strained my relationship with rest and with God.
Mhm.
I was doing good work, but resenting it. That's when I realized something was off. Purpose shouldn't cost you your wholeness.
Mhm. I like how you said that purpose shouldn't cost you your wholeness. And it's, why does it cost us that? Why is it something that I'm learning now in my 30s right now? It's like, I don't want to do the whole 9 to 5 anymore. And it's like, I think what's happening is millennials are starting to say, "Hey, we don't want to do this thing called work anymore." I think it's because the perception of social media, where, and I had this conversation today, where the perception of social media is really showing that the glitz and the glamour, the diamonds that people have, the money that people think that you can make of. But the question that I always have at the remaining of the day is, one, are you happy with what you're building? And then two, does money really solve all the problems?
Well, this adulting things, you
I don't like
know,
it.
if I
Say it
could
to me.
go, I know. And I see quite a bit of videos about this. Like, something, I did not sign up for this adulting thing.
I say the same thing. Where's the sheet that I can rip?
I know. I heard one person say, Mom, you did not tell me all of this about adulting.
I tell my daughter all the time. I'm like, look, dude. She's like, I can't wait to be an adult. I said, no, you can't. No,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
can't. I said, because when you're 18, I'm not paying your bills. You're going to be learning to pay your own bills.
Mhm.
Mama got her own. Mama finna have her own life. Okay. Life to live, you know? And it's just, it's like, although like I you want to continue to like grow your family, like the I don't want to say patterns, but when we're often talked about how we're supposed to be raised, you're from zero to, we'll say, to 10, you're just this little girl. Then from 12 to maybe 17 here in Texas is the limit as an adult. Once you turn 17, you're a legalized adult here in Texas. But you didn't know that? I know you didn't know that one. Yeah. Once you turn 17, you are a legalized adult here in the state of Texas. Not when you turn 18. When you turn 17, they say you're an adult. So
Mm.
for me, when I see how my daughter is right now, she's 8. She's impressionable. And I look at like how social media is starting to kind of like enter into her realm, because they're getting very equipped with technology.
Mhm.
Quick, fast, and in a hurry. And I'm like, you don't want to grow up. Like that chapter right there in your life, it's a blink of an eye. You don't want to grow up. Just stay 8, enjoy being a kid. Let your mom keep footing the bill, okay? Because once you turn 18, this mama, I'm writing your receipts, checking it twice, saying, are you naughty or nice? And you're on your own. Like, I'm not saying on your own in like, I'm kicking you out and shooing you out. Now, that part, you'd probably be in my house a little bit longer so you can get into one. I would recommend her if she decides, if she wants to go to college, do college in the fall semester. Enjoy your summer, let you get you a summer job, things of that nature, and then slowly move into college life. But after that, when you're in fall in college, you're out of here. Okay, you're on your own because you wrote the check yourself. Okay, so that's what we're doing. But back to what I was saying, the analogy of is we were taught to not have the fundamentals that we need to now when us as adults, millennials as adults now, we're kind of like, we've been through a Great Depression. We've been through Y2K. We've been through a pandemic. We've been through all these things. And we're at the end of the day looking like, why are we still broke? Why are we still going from paycheck to paycheck? And then looking out as another resource of, well, I got to be a content creator by tomorrow, which I'm kind of like, you don't have to be a content creator. Ooh, my nose is running. Be a content creator by tomorrow. Everything is not going to happen overnight. And I think we have that perception with social media where it hits us and we look at it and we're like, this is the golden nugget. This is the golden ticket that's going to get us out of here. I really wish social media did what's the form? Redact the form of showing what the red flags are behind social media versus just showing the glitz and the glamour and the smoky mirror to make
That's
us
too
believe.
much like right. I think that's too much like right. It might scare some people away because
But
if you,
that's a good thing. Scare me. Okay.
well, yeah.
I want to know the pros and the cons.
Now
The
that is
cons and the
good.
pros.
Yeah, the pros and the cons. That's good. I think that goes back to hustle culture. We
Mm-hmm.
end up being so driven that it
Mm-hmm.
wrecks our health. It wrecks our
Mm-hmm.
relationships,
Mm-hmm.
the spiritual relationship as well as the physical relationships. And that's the thing. God don't want us to get that consumed with dreams and things. If you want to be
Mm-hmm.
consumed, he rather for you to be consumed with him because the directions are going to come from him.
Mm-hmm.
And so I
Yeah.
had to follow my face a few dozens of times to finally, and I'm still, because I call myself a recovering perfectionist. And,
Ooh,
oh yeah.
I
So
like
I
that.
have to fight myself daily. Nope, Carolyn, this is good enough. Otherwise, I'm like a pit bull. I get my head in this thing, my teeth, and I'll just work it
Just keep
till I,
working it until you find the perfection in it. Yes.
yes.
And that's
So,
why I was just talking about that with my mom today, where I was telling her, I said, mom, I have had a challenge with my weight since I was
mm.
in high school, maybe a little bit before high school. I was 95 pounds when I first met my spouse.
Oh,
95.
wow.
Okay. I was looking like this. And I, once I learned that I picked up weight, I was like, I don't like it. Even till this day, the funny thing about it is, for example, when I went to the doctor's office and the doctor asked and was like, hey, how much do you weigh? I was like, oh, well, about 176. That lady did that weight for me just recently and was like, ma'am, you're 144. I said, who? Who's 144? Because I'm looking every direction. Who's 144? Not me. I'm not 144. I ain't seen 144 since in my 20s. What do you mean? And so I always, like you said, you like a recovering perfectionist. Anything that you do, you're in your mind, you're in your head. And so what happened with me was, and guys, if you're listening to this, your weight is beautiful, but everybody's gonna have some type of challenge, whether it's reading, writing, spelling, being the best mathematician, being the best person at spelling. Somebody's going to find something to be perfect. And for me, my weight was such an issue for me till this day. And I thought about it when I was in the room, and I said, "4 isn't bad. You got to let it go." And then a couple days later, I had to go back to the doctor, and she was like, "Oh, you're 150." So I was like, 150? I said, "Oh, I picked a weight. We're getting down. We're getting back to the weight that we had." So once again, got back in my head, and I was like, "All right, 150 isn't that bad. You're not 95. You're not 98 pounds. You can't be like that anymore, Erica. You got to get back to being a healthy weight. This is fine. And the doctor was like, yes, this is such a good weight, Erica. You're going to, beautiful weight. But in my head, I was like, it's not a beautiful weight. So for those out there, don't be so hard on yourself and love on yourself and continue to say that it is okay, whether you're fighting your weight, whether you're fighting some type of addiction, reading, writing, spelling, it's okay. And it's going to be all right. And it took me, still taking me some time to just get over that hump. But I know by the end of 2026, I'm just going to be like, you know what? The weight is going to be there. You got a butt, Erica. Okay. You just got a big butt. You just going to have to let it go. So, and that's the beautiful thing about the hustle culture versus alignment, because it's the word alignment is so peak at its high for me, to where I want to know what was going through your mind with the hustle culture versus being aligned with something.
Oh, hustle culture to me is like, I want more. You can
Mm-hmm.
never, I want more, I want more, I want more. You're impatient.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you want it now. What's that commercial? This is my money and I want it now.
Now, no, I was just thinking that when you just said that. Yeah.
Yeah. So the hustle culture, that's why it damages mental, physical, spiritual, emotionally, mentally. It
Mm-hmm.
does quite a bit of damage. But when you are looking at alignment and thriving to get into alignment, you're pacing yourself. You're looking at the whole self. You're not just fixated on a thing, but when you are getting into alignment, again, you're pacing
Mm-hmm.
yourself, and to me, you're focusing on your spiritual relationship, and so hustle culture it can be dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
It can be dangerous. It'll get you there, but will it keep you there? That's the other question. Will it keep you there?
That's a good question. Will it keep you there? Because not only will it keep you there, but will it always remain there in the back of your mind?
Mhm. Well, and see, the thing when it comes to hustle culture, it's like I said, you always want more.
Mm-hmm.
And I think with hustle culture, you tend to look at people as a transaction.
We just had this conversation.
You don't make good relationships. You know what I'm saying? You don't establish good friendships or networking. You're not good at network. You're always on the prowl for better. And that's
Mm-hmm.
not good. That's not good.
You can't always look at something being a transaction situation, because then it really comes in full circle and it comes back times 10. And that's why I believe so much, where I'd rather build connections and build real relationships and network as much as I can versus, well, the money. I don't, again, my motto for this year is, when the money attracts, it's going to attract to me, and it's going to come back times 10. And I believe that wholeheartedly, because I've had situations where people have came to me and I give the clothes on my back, for example, or I give money to a friend and it turns around and ends up, well, girl, you got that $120? I can borrow? I'll pay you back. But then you don't see it. And I'm kind of to the point where you don't have to, I will give you the clothes and the shirt and whatever that you need. But now there's a boundary that has to be in place with that. Because, like we had the discussion before, if I was to give you that money before, you're going to keep coming back for it every 2 weeks expecting the same thing, which isn't cool. So you speak really, really beautifully about your faith, and the obedience and releasing guilt about that. So how did you lead into building that relationship with faith, with God? And how did it change to release that guilt that you no longer had the purpose of?
Well, for me and anybody who is dealing with the poisonous thoughts, I'm not enough, I'll never be enough. Because, a lot of times in the Black community, you hear that a lot from
Mm-hmm.
people that's supposed to love you. So I literally had to embrace the word to the point of, what does the word say about me? And I had to consistently read the word that God said he loves me.
Mm.
That and you can actually turn God's word into an affirmation. So I was reading the word basically daily. I was turning his word into an affirmation. And it's just not when I say consistently, you have to develop some discipline.
Mhm.
So if you get up in the morning, okay, you spend time reading your word, listening to it. If you don't have time to read it. And then once I got over into mental health, the recovery aspect, then they give you tools. And that's why I tell everybody, please, whatever you do, especially if you have experienced trauma, childhood trauma, find you a trauma therapist that will give you the tools to be able to help you navigate this journey, because I don't recommend anyone trying to tackle this journey without a therapist. So I had to truly embody God's word about me. Journaling, speaking, affirmations. There are so many different, mental health resources out there. Grab hold to what's good for you. And I call it the wellness toolbox. Create you a
Mm.
wellness toolbox of all the different mental health resources, whether it's journaling, whether it's just walking on a beach, whether it's just listening to jazz music or classical music. Once you build your wellness toolbox,
Mhm.
and then, so whenever something hits you, you just reach down, grab your toolbox. My to go thing is mindfulness and
Mhm.
watching plenty of comedy. I watch comedy for hours and I would just laugh until I can get out of my head.
Mhm.
And then that helps me melt the day away, after a good hot shower.
Mhm.
But you have to build your wellness toolbox. So I had to truly embrace God's word and the
And
recovery
comedy
journey.
is, I think laughter builds so much happiness
Hmm.
around you because there's days where I've had, like, I'm in it. Like,
Hmm. Because life is so hard.
it's not a good day.
Yeah.
I don't, I think I suffer so much in not saying, like, how I feel or what I'm internalizing feeling. So I just
Mm-hmm.
deal with it in silence. Now, for example, my spouse, I can see on his face when something is like transpiring. Like I can be like, okay, what's wrong? What's the matter? Are you okay? And he's like, nope, I'm fine. But I can see it in his face and his body language. Where for me, I can switch it. I can be like, you'll look at me like coming in from like how my daughter just did. Are you okay? I'm good. Don't worry about me. I'm fine. And for him, he don't see those things. He just be like, okay, she said she's okay, so I'm assuming she's okay. When really, I'm like, hey man, I'm in it. It's a dark hole. Gotta get through it. All right. And it's unfortunate because even my mom has seen it. My mom's like, you don't tell me everything. You don't tell me everything. She's like, you absolutely don't trust to tell me everything. And in my head, I'm like, I don't want to say I don't trust not to say everything, but I rather hold the burden for myself versus having another feeling come in from somebody else and then internalize their feelings upon my feelings of like how I express my day. If I'm saying, am I putting it I think I'm putting it correctly. But when somebody comes up to me, I'm like, no, I'm good. And you'll never know that I had the worst work day of my life.
I used to be like that. I used to be like that. It's only so long you'll be able to continue to do that,
Hmm.
because it's like
And I
it's
can feel like I am. It's only a matter of a time where
yeah.
I'm just
And that's why I scream from the top of my lungs. Find your therapist. Try to find you some mental health resources and
mhm,
things, if you jog, whatever you have to do,
gotta get back to
because
walking.
what they say, you'll crash and burn
Hmm.
after what so, and then you start to get angry at the people around you, because it's like, I'm crashing and burning over here and you're not helping me. And it's like, well, you're not telling the people that you are need help.
Yeah, you're not telling like and like
Yeah.
sometimes I would be like, Erica, just say you had a bad day and it's just not. But then it's kind of like when you have been built so like you had a bad day, you'll get over it type of mentality. Like, you'll tell somebody and they'll be like, you had a bad day, so what? Like you'll get over it. And you kind of just be like, I'm up to you. Why talk to you? Why say
Yeah.
anything to you
That,
in the
yeah.
first place?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
want me to tell you, but then you be like, girl,
And
you
that's another thing that I admonish us to learn the people who we can and cannot talk to,
Mm-hmm.
because after getting so many of those type of responses, you grow even more angry.
We're more, and the funny thing that we talk about a little bit in anger is where I want to learn how to, and I think it's going to be really good for me to journal this year because I put that on my vision board to get
Mm-hmm.
a journal, and I want to be able to get a piece of paper, write everything down that I'm completely, whoever I'm angry at, what I'm angry about, or whatever, burn that up and just let it go. Let
Mm-hmm.
it go.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like whatever happened 35 years ago, it's not meant for me. It doesn't serve me no purpose. Let it go. It's not my fault. And it's like 35 years ago, I wasn't even thought that's my mom and my dad. 35 years later, I've dealt with the hand of what my mom and dad have put me through. And I want to this year just really be able to write it all out, let it go.
Well, there's other coping strategies that you can do. One thing, you can write a letter. You don't have to mail it, but you can write a letter to the person that hurt you. Another thing that I heard, people use their stuffed animals and put it in a chair. And I mean, they just go at it. They talk to it like they just everything they wanted to say. It's funny,
It
but they
is,
would.
but it helps them really. Hey, it helps. Or another thing I've learned a cool
Mhm.
tool is I've seen on TikTok where they get the plate, like a white plate, and they get the marker and around the whole rim of the circle because they make of the plate, they make every word, whether it's a sad, angry, happy, whatever goes on in your mind, they release it on the plate and they write it all the way until they hit that full circle on the plate.
I never saw that one.
I've seen it on a TikTok. And what they do is they write it with the permanent marker. After they write all their things that no longer serves them purpose, they go outside, they break it, and they
Okay.
let it go. And for me, and my mom, she still says to this day, "You're so angry. You're so angry. You have to let it go. You're so angry, but I have to let it go."
But you make the decision to let it go.
Mm-hmm.
And that is one of the irritating things for me, because it's easy to be a person on the outside. So, oh, just let that go. Just let that go. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
if I was able to let it go, don't you think I would have been
I would
able
have
to
let it
let
go
it
a
go
long
a
time
long
ago.
time
A
ago?
long time ago,
So
yeah.
that's always been an irritant to me. And so you make the decision to let it go. Once you let it go, then it'll be let go. But if I let it go based on what somebody else said, then it's gonna come back.
It's still gonna come retract back to me. And that's
Hmm.
what I was thinking the other night because I often think of the conversations that I have with my mom. I really am proud of the way that I'm proud of the mom that I am. I'm proud of, and like we were talking about previously before, how you got to celebrate the small wins too, because I don't give myself enough credit for celebrating the small wins.
I'm the same way. I'm getting better. I'm getting a little
I
bit
want to get better at that and be like, you know what? I'm proud of myself
better.
for being present in my daughter's life. I'm proud of myself where I'm doing the things that I want to do in my dreams. I'm proud of myself of finally being like, you know what? I just said this the other day. I said, I'm unsubscribing to the drama.
Mm.
I'm unsubscribed. I said, let it, I had my hands that I am unsubscribing to this drama. And I'm being so, my friend laughed at me and she was like, "Girl, you crazy." I said, "No, I'm serious. I'm unsubscribing to the drama. If it's not serving me the purpose that I want to land on, if it's not giving me the positivity that I want to hear, I want to hear you talk about a business. I want to hear you talk about, for example, 107 days. Okay, I'm reading this book, by the way, which is really good.
Okay.
107 days. Okay. I'm all about doing, listening and hearing and manifesting things. If you're always calling to me, and I love my friends, I love my girlfriends, I do. Y'all are my rock. But when you're calling me talking about X, Y, and Z, and it's constantly every single day, I got to the point where I was like, I don't even want to hear it. I'm unsubscribing to the drama, which that should be a
Mhm.
T-shirt, by the way.
That sounds good.
Hopefully nobody trademarked that. I have to look that up later. But unsubscribing to it. I'm just at the point. I'm in my mid and I'm okay. I'm okay with not picking up the phone, or I'm telling people text me at this point. You don't have to call. You could text me at this point. It's not that hard. So it's all in and good, I think good healing in good faith and having a I want this time is a chance for me to have the time of my life. Whatever I do, whether it's from gardening to I don't know, sewing. I've been saying I
Mhm.
wanted to sew, you know? People say I'm old because I want to sew, but I'm
Well,
unsubscribed.
they said the same thing about me because I wanted to learn how to crochet. I loved my grandmother's rocking chair. My grandmother raised me, so I have an old soul. So I was an old soul even when I was a young kid. So sitting in her rocking chair was the happiest thing I could do. And sit there and talk to her. But I still want to learn how to crochet. I haven't learned it yet, but I'm
You know
getting
what?
there.
I'm a little jealous. I'm not going to tell my spouse secret real quick, but I'm going to tell it anyways. My spouse the other night, low key, made me a little jealous. So I said, I said, babe, I want to learn how to crochet or learn how to sew. You know what this man said to me? I know how to do it.
Oh, wow. When did he learn?
I said, so you have me sit here and me tell me you know how to crochet this whole entire time and you didn't teach me how to crochet? He's like, yeah, I know how to do it. So he grabbed a pin. What did he do? He grabbed a pin and he grabbed the charger to the iPhone, like the iPhone charger, the port part. He said, yeah, I know how to do it. He gets the pin, the whole the hook, the knot and everything. I said, you know what? I'm just gonna turn over for the night. He said, you're mad at me? I said, no, I'm not mad. I'm disappointed. I am disappointed, sir, because I teach you how to work computers. I teach you how to do an email. I teach you all, but you been holding this secret from me since we've been together in our 20s and now in our 30s. Are you kidding me? Just want to throw that nugget out there. Hurt. Just hurt. So, before we wrap up our wonderful discussion, because this was a beautiful conversation and we could talk for hours, I want to learn more about what a certified peer recovery specialist is. And then I also want to talk about your book because we've been meaning to talk about it and we got to talk about it. So, tell me to be quiet. And like, you have the floor. Go ahead.
Well, again, the certified peer recovery specialist is a person that is certified through their state.
Okay.
And we can work in different capacities, facilities, but the
Hmm.
overall definition that I came up with to explain what it is
Hmm.
that I use my lived experience to encourage others on their recovery journey.
I like that
That's it
definition.
simplified. And so I have two books. My first book is God, Why Did You Save Me? It's on Amazon. And my second book is called The Well Kept Woman, which is an ebook on uh, Amazon as well. And so the God, Why Did You Save Me is 7 chapters. It's just a raw look at my life from childhood to adulthood, talking
Hmm.
about the childhood trauma. It's gets kind of detailed in what the events that happened to me. It
Hmm.
talked about my rocky relationship with my mom. I grew up hating my mom. I grew up feeling unloved, unheard, and unwanted because I grew up during a time where children were seen and not heard. And back in the day, and then there's still some, still happening today, but it was definitely more so back then where you couldn't express yourself as a child. If you cried, get somewhere and sit down before I give you something to cry for. It was,
Hmm.
it was that type of thing. So parents don't realize that you internalize that and it stays with you until you're an adult. The trauma is makes all your choices, especially when it comes to partners. Your trauma makes the choices. And that's why you see a lot of high functioning, high achieving women that got PhDs go out and get these men who really is not worth their time, their tears. And that's because that traumatized little girl on the inside has not been healed. So she's making the decision. She likes that bad boy that she sees across the room. He is
Hmm.
no good. You see what I'm saying? And so that's how I was. I was this A student, graduated valedictorian of my high school class, but I love the bad boys. So
Don't we all? Jeez, tell me
yeah.
to stop, okay?
hmm So you've got to do the hard work and the heart work,
That's hard. That's hard to do. I mean, like,
but you gotta want to do it. If you don't do it, take an inventory of your life. Are you happy where you are now? And that's why I say you don't want to get to the end of your life and regret.
That's what my mom said. My mom told me that, like, I think what's happening is I will be 36 in March. And I think I don't want to say a shell shock, because my grandmother was pretty much, my grandmother was my best friend. So now that she's gone and I'm not used to that, I'm still not reeling from that. I'm still like, let me call my grandma and let me have her pick up the other side of the phone. But I know somebody else is going to have that phone number, and she's not there. So, and it's hard to, now me looking back and I'm like, your life blinks in a flash. And then you're thinking in your 30s, like, what do you have to show for? I'm at that point. I'm like reevaluating everything. Like, I'm reevaluating myself as a whole, like what I need to do better. I'm reevaluating myself as a mom, as a friend. One of the friends, I just purely just stopped. I just stopped talking. I don't know why I'm just like, you know what? And I have said a prayer where I've been like, if it no longer serves me no purpose, remove them out of my life. And I've said it quite a few times, and he's doing it. He's removing it. And then all of a sudden it comes back like, hey, I haven't heard from you in a while. Why you haven't been XYZ checking up? That's not, it's a two-way street. And I'm learning that. It's a two-way street. If you want to talk to me, you know how to call me. You see me on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. You know how to get a hold of me. So I think this is just a season of alignment and changing. And before we wrap up, I want to know, what's your word of 2026? And then where can listeners find you, my friend?
Let's see, my personal word for 2026 is steady.
Mm.
And it's steady because 2025 was a year of release and emotional stability. So 2026, I just want to continue what I was doing in 2025. So that's why it's steady. My professional word for 2026 is authority, quiet authority to be exact.
Now, I haven't heard that.
And I
Quiet
and I
authority.
chose that word because for me to be a certified Christian life coach, a Tennessee certified peer, I'm inviting people to trust me
Mm-hmm.
with their most intimate, thoughts and dreams. And so that's why I've been focusing on journaling or giving my life journey to let women know that there's life on the other side of trauma. Using LinkedIn as my primary platform. And so
Mm-hmm.
I am establishing my authority on LinkedIn. So, but it's
I'm,
going to be the quiet authority.
I'm excited. I like that. I like that. Quiet. I need to be like, I'm quiet authoritating my job here. It's 9 to 5. Exit. Okay.
Yes.
Exit
Yes.
stage left. But I do want to thank you for taking the time to come on to the Balanced Boss Mom podcast. And the conversation has been really enlightening. It's been very grounding and warm and inviting. And that's the conversations we need more in this world. We need more light. We need more love. We need some more just patience and time.
Yes.
Time is something that we are not getting back.
That is
Time is
true.
something
That
is
is
we're not
true.
getting back. So continue to love on your loved ones, whether it's your mom, your dad, your sister, your brother. If you don't have parents, your aunt and your uncles, even your dog. I love on my dog. His name is Carter. I mean, she comes above all things throughout him. Really quickly, I have one more thing. What is something that you want to leave the listeners behind? If you want to do a prayer, if you want to do an affirmation, I am all for it. But something that we can leave on this beautiful night on this note.
Something that the Lord gave me, and I tend to remember it from time to time, is that your purpose is greater than the.
We're going to leave on that note. And I'm going to read on that, because I'm going to read each definition.
Your purpose is greater than the pain.
Yep. You gave me homework in my head. See, I knew you were dropping this just to make me do some homework. Every episode, somebody leaves me with some type of homework. Okay, why I gotta do the homework? Listeners should be doing some homework. Anywho, well, you are not late, you are not lazy, and you're not failing. And the purpose can be built faithfully, internally, and beautifully. So, As we wrap up this lovely evening tonight, I want to thank you again for coming on the Balance Boss Mom podcast. I hope you come back.
Just let me know when.
Just let you know. Yes, see? Let you know. Okay. Well, guys, I am going to stop talking at this point until next time. Bye, guys. And thank you for coming on the Balance Boss Mom podcast. Like, comment, subscribe on my YouTube channel. We're trying to raise it for 2026.
Yes.
And to listen to this beautiful episode on all platforms. So, bye, guys.
Have a good night.